Hello, survivors. The world is dead. Long live the new world. When chaos reigns and the survivors sort things out in endless battles, we all need a place to calm down and take a breath. Well, you found this place. Here, in the garage, you can learn a lot about the wastes straight from the devs. And don't forget that we now also have the Crossout show here. The best designers and drivers can compete for prizes. Get in, watch, take part. Make yourselves comfy, fellas. It's go time. We're back again at the proving ground to take out for a spin a couple of rides from the exhibition. Today, we're in for a new version of a familiar craft and a nostalgic, soulful craft. Don't forget to share your works. Who knows? Maybe they'll get in the next episode. One-up hover E-Tank. They say genius lies in simplicity. If that's true, E-Tank might just get a Nobel Prize. A simple craft of 11 parts with 12 points of energy, its mass is not even 5,000 kilograms. To build this ride, you need a Growl cabin, 2 Tsunami cannons, 4 Icarus hovers, a light engine, and a gas generator. These parts can't be called basic, but the craft itself is very simple. If you remember Back Flipper from previous episodes, this buddy might be called its improved version. The weaponry is way more serious. Tsunami are more powerful than the Avengers. Adjusted for air, the principle is the same. A powerful salvo turns the ride over several times, then it immediately continues the battle. Sucks to be a pilot here, but battlefield movement is still headlong and unpredictable. Uneasy for the enemy, handy for us. E-Tank will prove itself against huge and clumsy craft, but you absolutely can allow for direct hits. 80 points of structure leave slim possibilities of staying alive. It's a ride for experienced gamers who dig experiments and don't mind trying out something new. Machina van. A nostalgic art craft for those who's been following our work for quite some time. In 2005, Targan Studios released Hard Truck Apocalypse, or Ex Machina in Russia. Its events take place in the same world as Crossout, but later, nearly 200 years after. In fact, there we can see the results of a massacre that is now happening in the wastes. And of course, there are rides and their modifications as well. This van is literally a visitor from the future, and it's very pleasing for us. Ex Machina van repeats the original ride, and this is why it's very austere. On the outside, it resembles a standard truck, with a Vector machine gun on the roof. 8 points of energy, a bit more than 1,000 points of structure. This ride stands practically no chance in the rage of a battle. On the other hand, the outward similarity is undeniable. Compare it yourself. The author has recreated that very ride, which time is gonna come 200 years later, with great attention to detail, and has stricken right in nostalgic nerve. The van, by the way, can be fully optimized for battle. Keep the looks, but add some equipment, weaponry, and wheels. Or you might even get it in the air with hovers. Give it a shot. What we're trying to say is that apart from being an art value, it's also an appropriate dummy for more complex crafts. Have fun. We're not going to grade this one. Just remember that on December 8, in less than 1 month, Hard Truck Apocalypse turns 12 years old. We suggest you celebrate this by a very special combat day in the wastes. Here's to a better tomorrow. Soon there's gonna be a new arena in Crossout called Refinery. After the upcoming update, it's gonna be available in PvE mode abduction. You can't play on it yet, but we're so excited to share the first specifics. After the catastrophe on the refinery, the soil infection made vast territories unlivable. Only flying daredevils decided to stay here. For several years, scavengers have been dismantling the section walls of the refinery for armor, and have even managed to retool a couple of the workbenches for their purposes. But everything's changed when, during one of the expeditions, scouts found a huge lake of purest water, from which they've extracted an artifact. When it's been transported to the refinery, the soil and the water around gradually started to become free of harmful contaminants. This couldn't be explained by logic, so the change has sparked a genuine interest among the fighters. If you could turn acid into water, then you could probably turn water into gasoline too. The prospects are tantalizing. Despite the resistance, the base and the artifact have been captured by raiders. This is all for now that we can tell you about the refinery. But don't get disappointed. In the current patch, there's a new map, only it's a global one. We mentioned that it's on the way. Here, you can see a piece of the continent where the events of the game take place currently. You can also see the actual position of all game locations. For example, the refinery is quite near the factory in Terminal 45. The map, built in the game, has small icons of raids and melees scattered around, as well as the choice of a mission needed for a reward. When you roll over the icon, you can get a detailed look at the mode, the requirements, the possible reward, and its conditions. We hope the global map makes the wastes a bit more clear and complete a place. And of course, we promise to enlarge it in the future. Hello again, survivors. We hope you've been selling copper all week. Just kidding. You can and should sell and buy everything, and we will help you. And if you have overcome the fear of the market, that's good. If you've made some money on that, even better. This time, we're going to take a close look at another essential resource, scraps. They're sold as copper in 100 pieces. Even the price correlates, about 7 golden coins. Much less often, the scraps are sold in 1,000 pieces. So, let's look at the graphs. For the period in question, only once scraps has been cheaper in the morning than at night. Other days, its price fully concurred with copper. Finally, in the last day, morning and evening prices were identical. Now, let's look at buy-in. Prices for the week haven't been lower than 7 golden coins. Moreover, morning and evening differences in prices are less than the same parameter in buy-in. In other words, sales offers are a bit more stable. Unlike copper, the supply and demand balance here is ambiguous. For several days, the number of people willing to buy scraps was bigger than the number of pieces for sale, while for about 3 days, the picture was the reverse. If we take aggregate numbers, then we were roughly 6,300 people wanting to buy and to sell 100 pieces of scraps. With a slight discrepancy in mind, this can be considered a balance. Here are the implications. As copper, scraps are better to be bought in the morning. It's not a big win, but still, it's a win. There's no point in being economizing time and wise in sales. The prices are pretty much the same during all day. Since there's no supply glut of scraps on the market, you may try to make your money on the exchange, buying up the resource and then selling it for a slightly increased price. However, in most cases, the fee might consume the potential profit. The number of bought pieces at a time doesn't make much difference. As with copper, the price of scraps is pretty much the same, be it 100 pieces or 1,000 pieces. You can draw all the other conclusions yourselves. The graphs are at hand. Well, see you in a week. Get rich and prosper. Will we see more terrain hazards like acid and fire in PvP maps? Our ultimate goal is to create different cool maps both in PvP and PvE. Please follow the development diaries and the garage.
What about partly destructible maps, like in War Thunder?
We're not planning this at current time. What about legendary cabins? We're constantly working on new parts, cabins included. Can I have an ice cream? Sure. Well, that's it for today, survivors. Looking forward to seeing you in a week to spill some more facts about the Waste's battles. Don't waste your time. Gain experience and toughen up in fights. Also, subscribe. And do me a favor, will you? Tell your friends about the show. Leave comments below. It's important for us to know your opinions. Be seeing ya.